The weekly phone call back home. Sally agreed to ring her parents in Yorkshire once a week, every Friday night, without fail. Yes, I'm having a great time. Yes, going out with, Steve tonight. To a film and then a disco. And then on Saturday we've got a party. Where? Oh, Hampstead. No, it's somebody from work. Oh, and then on Sunday I'm, going to a charity football match with the people next door. Then I'm back to work on Monday. But on Thursday I'm going out. For a meal. Oh, look, there's the Pips. Yes, phone next Friday. Bye. Love to everyone, and all the best to friends in the... Sally exchanged the semi-warm of the call box for the cold of a January night on the Earls Court Road. She'd given a good performance tonight. One of her best. She'd always been a good liar, even at school. They'd only worry if they knew things weren't too good at the minute. Might as well keep it to herself. Bottle it up until she next went home. No harm in that. Avoiding a group of drunken Welsh rugby supporters, down for tomorrow's game, Sally made her way back home, to her bedsit off the Earls Court Road. £15 a week all in. No parties, supply your own food and pay your own electric meter, no guests overnight or past 11. It would be a typical quiet weekend for Sally. She was staying in London. Get up at 10, listen to Capital, and then lunch at McDonald's. Maybe the Science Museum in the afternoon. Then back to the flat and TV until midnight. Sunday was pretty much the same, only as Capital wasn't worth bothering with, she'd substitute the Observer Colour Supplement and the Noel Edmonds Show. Then, Monday to Friday, work. Typing out requisition dockets for the GLC. And then on Friday night, well, the weekend starts here. It wasn't that Sally found it difficult to make friends. She didn't. After all, she'd never had any trouble back home in Yorkshire. It was just, well, you know, it was London. If you went anywhere on your own, people would think, wouldn't they? Think she was just out to get picked up. Which, naturally enough, being a nicely brought up young lady from Harrogate, she was not. Not that she cared what people would think, of course. She just had her standards. She'd attended a grammar school. There were acceptable ways of meeting people. It was just London. It was like that down here, in the south. Sally wasn't an introvert. She was just used to things being different. Back home they were. In Yorkshire. Not like London at all. She had thought of one of those link organizations. The ones you see advertised on the tube. You know, the sort of thing. Are you sitting opposite the new man in your life? But they were for peculiar people, weren't they? Inadequate, lonely people. Weird people. People she'd been brought up to avoid. Sally had been to a couple, just to see what the truth was. Once was enough. A colleague at work had said they were like cattle markets. She'd guessed they would be too. She'd never go again. What else was there? Oh, she'd once tried one of the council's social club sections. She'd had to go on her own. True to form, everyone ignored her. All too busy in their cliques. It wasn't as if she was shy. She'd have chatted away quite happily. Sally simply preferred it if other people introduced themselves first. That was the accepted way. Still, why should she be depressed? It wasn't her fault. And she had a lot to be thankful for. She had her health, a good job, and a good family. She was a bit ordinary looking. But so what? So were most of the girls she knew. They all seemed to get on okay. This discussion was getting Sally nowhere. Letters from home didn't help much either. All her school friends were now either married or engaged. One was even pregnant. Not that it counted. She wasn't properly married. Compare that with all the things Sally had done in her life. She'd been the first in her class to leave home, proved she could look after herself. All the same, she still felt a bit on the shelf. Silly, wasn't it? She was only 20, after all. Plenty of time yet. Plenty of time for, let's daydream for a second here. Plenty of time for meeting a young executive with a car called Roger. The executive that was, not the car. Plenty of time for him to come along and whisk her off her feet. He'd appear anytime now. Her mother constantly reassured. Her sister had met James when she was 20, after all. Even if they were temporarily separated. Sally was bored. 10 O-levels and an IQ of 90 and she was bored. Who could she phone? Nobody in London. And back home in Yorkshire, they'd all be out. Friday night, you see. It was all a bit depressing. Strange too how being on one's own can become quite compulsive. You didn't get to enjoy it, or anything like that. You just became used to it. Afraid of company. Wary of people you didn't know. No, more apprehensive than afraid. Butterflies in the stomach sort of thing. Scared you'd offend them. Silly, really. Sally spent the next half-hour daydreaming of her old boyfriends from school. Where were they now? 9 o'clock. Might as well have a drink while the news was on. There wasn't much of the gin left. Half a bottle. Sally reckoned she might as well finish it up. It was the weekend after all. She felt depressed for some reason. Better take some of those tablets the doctor gave her. For when she felt a bit low. Take a couple. An extra 3 or 4. Who's going to know? Might as well get a good night's sleep. Sally knew she'd feel better in the morning. Might as well be comfortable. Turn up the electric blanket. Go mad. Bugger the fuel bill. Whoops. Language. Sally started yawning. She felt sleepy. Tomorrow would be a better day. She'd go to a film or something like that. She yawned again. She felt very sleepy. If she felt the same in a few weeks, she'd admit defeat and go home. Sally fell asleep as soon as her head touched the pillow. It was Tuesday before they discovered her body.